I get that she didn't want to.
What?
Because your mother said she was always ruining it, and this she wasn't going to. But this is something.
It was not rational.
No. But they went away together on a holiday, and I said, don't go with her. But they did, and apparently they had a good time.
Was it a cruise or something?
I don't remember. I think they a cruise. Yeah,
I think so.
I think they went to
had a vague-
Florida or something.
I have a vague memory of something.
I don't know. So, okay,
Okay, Devora, let's switch gears. Can you talk about, how many years have you been living in Israel?
Since '67.
How many years is that?
You figure it
I'll
out.
figure it out. 40 years.
40?
40.
Yeah,
50.
So in terms of,
50.
50 years. 50 years, Devora.
Yovel.
More than half your life.
Right. That's right. It's more than half my life.
So you were 30 when you came here, or you were 38.
Something like that.
can you say something about how your Zionism has evolved since the days when you first arrived?
First of all, there is no Zionism.
Can you say more about that? What do you mean?
Anyone says they're Zionists, they're stupid. There's no such thing. Zionism was a political movement to have the state of Israel established. And once that happened, Israel became a country like every other country and unlike any other country. But it's a country, and we're not fighting for the establishment of a country because it exists.
Are you sure about that?
Okay,
Well put.
how do you feel about the direction the country has taken in the last 50 years?
I don't know. I just, what bothers me is the corruption that's going on. It's really in technicolor already, the corruption.
But wasn't there always corruption, great corruption in Israel?
Maybe, I don't know. First of all, at the beginning there couldn't have been because there was
There's
no
no
money.
source of corruption.
There was nothing. And it could be, but it's reached such degrees, and what destroys a country is what happens inside and not what happens outside.
What do you think is the biggest threat to this country's future?
Who do you think I am, Kissinger?
I just think you have,
Your art
In your opinion,
in your opinion.
I think it's always an internal problem. The internal situation is the real threat. And this is what our sages said when they said they studied why was the first temple destroyed? Why was the second temple? And it was never because of the outside enemies who were empires.
Are we talking sinat chinam right now for this period of time?
Well, there's a lot of sinah. I
What does
mean,
that mean?
the hatred.
Help.
Sinah's hatred. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on. And now what's coming out with the last war, what they did, and then I told you this young physicist who
Right.
came up with a
Right.
plan. No one talks about it now either. And it's a serious problem. Look, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows. But we're here to stay. This is my feeling. I don't think there'll be another galut. An exile like...
Do you think, like, given what's going on in the United States right now with the no one I can't think could have foreseen that in the United States there would be the kind of anti-Semitism that we're seeing today. Do you think Israel is a solution to global anti-Semitism?
First of all, the anti-Semitism has to be... The Americans have to solve it, or whoever is there. But at least you have a place to come to, which at one time never existed for Jews. Unless it was America. That's why America opened its doors to Jews. Not that's why. But when the new continent, a lot of people came to America to escape the horrors of Europe. And Europe is changing. God knows it's not going in a good direction. I don't know what's going to happen. And you know what? I don't think anyone knows. Maybe there's a Kabbalist somewhere hidden away who knows? I personally don't know of anyone who knows. And it's too bad, that's all.
Do you have concerns with the demographics of Israel?
No, I don't think about it. What am I going to think about? First of all, they're I think they're either 1 million Arabs and 7 million Jews.
I wasn't talking about the Arabs.
means
I was
the
talking
Dati.
about the Dati.
Ah, I don't know.
That's scary. They're increasingly getting more power, aren't they?
Yeah.
And more influence.
But what I don't, first of all, the Datim, there's so many different kinds. You can't just lump them together. I say, if it weren't for the Arabs, there'd be no state of Israel. It's sad, but that's what I
There's
think.
truth in that.
There's an enemy is a very handy,
Unifier.
it is.
Well, that's what's going on in the United States right now too.
He's creating enemies.
Right.
What, why? What are they?
Trump is making the Muslims and the immigrants the enemy
Well, the
to
Muslims,
solidify his hold on his base.
well, that's why a lot of people voted for him.
Right.
Look, they come out and they say they one day they're going to take over. And they want the Sharia law and they want this and they want that. They're not like Jews, like Jewish immigrants or other immigrants.
Well, hold on. Most of them are like Jews.
No, they're not.
Look,
Most of them
they're-
are promoting Sharia law in
No,
Canada
but
and the
don't
States.
make blanket statements. There's
But
a
you can't make that blanket statement either.
It's not that there's a completely different culture. You can't say they're like Jews. There's nothing like Jews. There's a
I didn't
completely
say they
different.
were like Jews.
Yes, you did.
I said they're like us. I didn't mean Jews. I mean
You
they're like
actually said
everyone.
Jews.
Yeah, but you can't make the blanket statement that they want Sharia law. Some do.
I'm not talking about Sharia law.
But that's
they're
what
not like
that's
Jews.
what I was negating.
But they say, and a lot of them, not all of them, there's those things all. By the way, in one of the places, the Muslim community raised $90,000 to help repair what was done to a center or
The cemetery in St. Louis.
cemetery.
Yeah, they've actually come out in support of the community.
Right,
Right.
$90,000 they raised to
Yes.
help.
I know.
So they're not
The
they're not
Muslims.
promoting Sharia law. Those people.
I would imagine not. Those there are.
There's extremists, just like there are here,
No.
who would wipe out the Arabs.
It depends who. They don't want. They wouldn't wipe them out, but
There are.
it's a
there
very
aren't-
serious problem, and then I think they have to be controlled.
Who's
Look,
they?
The Arabs, the Muslims,
The
They-
extreme Muslims.
the extreme, but there are a lot of them.
Okay, let's not have
Look
this
what's happening in
conversation.
Europe. What?
I don't want to talk about this on tape.
You don't want to talk about what?
This. Devora, let's go back to your life in Israel. How did you get into the I Ching? How did that all come about?
No, that's what's from. You know who Yudit is.
No, tell me about you.
No, I don't want to talk about that. It's a long story. I don't want to get into that.
Just remind me. You told me. Did I know her at one point? Did I know her?
That's why I'm asking. I don't think so.
She was a friend of yours?
Well, she was doing some sort of. She introduced a lot of things into Israel, which she had learned in a monastery in China, a form of therapy. I even suggested that you go to her. You don't remember, do you?
No.
It makes me feel good when I hear the three of you say, I don't remember. I don't remember.
You could hear me say that a lot, actually.
But I suggested to you, and I should have suggested it to Clive instead,
Why is that?
because he would have gone, you not.
Did she live in Israel?
Elama, I didn't go to the moon.
But you wanted me to go see her privately?
Elama,
Well, what was she? What was she, like a therapist? What was she?
well, it was a certain form of therapy.
Oh. Like spiritual therapy.
Well, it had a spiritual.
So whatever happened to her?
Well, eventually she died.
Was she Israeli?
No. She was originally from Hungary, and she went through the Nazi occupation and the Russian occupation, and at one point she sneaked out of Hungary. There was something happened, I don't remember, and she was able to leave Hungary. And she lived in England and in France, and she didn't want to come to Israel. But her husband, who wasn't her husband at the time, he wanted to come. He was a very famous theater director in Hungary. And I don't know who, or either she left legally, or one of them left illegally. One of them left, because I remember them saying when they did go back to Hungary, they couldn't touch him because he was too famous. So apparently she left legally, he left illegally.
So how did you meet her?
I was teaching English to a woman, and I mentioned about yoga. She says, I saw this ad, it's a very good ad. And I called, and there were no telephones then. I had to call someone who knew her. You had to wait 8 years to get a telephone after you paid. And so I went to see her. So I started off doing yoga with her.
One-on-one?
No, in a group.
Okay.
And then she had a group. We met all together, the whole group, and she talked about this form of I call it therapy, and what it's like, etc. And I went there. We worked together. A lot of us worked together with her.
Was it helpful?
Yeah.
And part of it was the I Ching?
And then she also taught the I Ching.
Do you still do it regularly?
When I feel like doing it, I do it. What do you mean? It's not something you eat. It's not a prayer or something.
Sorry.
Regularly, Mother, regularly.
Do you consult it regularly?
Yes, not regularly at this hour on this day.
You do it weekly, monthly?
I do it whenever I want.
Okay.
How do you, I have my own explanation for the I Ching, how it works. How do you explain it?
I don't explain it. I don't know. But when you're in a dilemma and you don't know what to do, if you open up the Tanakh, you get an answer too. You close your eyes, you just open, and then with your eyes closed, and you get an answer like in biblical times, and the Greeks had the Oracle of Delphi. I don't know how it worked, and the I Ching, and they did, and the priests, Jewish priests, the Kohanim, had the Urim V'Turim, and they asked all the time. There are answers. I mean, we're so physically bound that what you see is what you get, and you don't know of anything else. But
There's something mystical about all this.
it is. It's metaphysical because there are forces at work, and the I Ching gives you answers many times. Sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes I test it to see if what they say and I do it if it's the right thing to do. But it's a very, mathematicians have studied it and written about it. It's about 5,000 years old, something like
Well,
that.
there's a very wise philosophy that underpins it.
Nachon?
There's a wisdom that underpins it.
But the whole ancient world.
The indigenous world.
The what?
Also, the indigenous in North America, the native.
Well, the shamanism,
Right.
which is, I did that. I mean, I had someone do it for me. Whether it works or not, I could never, you can't tell these things. But it's interesting that what they come up with, the shamans. But the whole world was was like that, like thousands of years ago.
You still do yoga?
No. Because after the heart, I would do it at home, and after I was afraid to do it. You're not allowed to do anything, so I'm afraid to do it, that's all. But maybe there'll be something coming up in the ASCI, this woman who's doing balance and posture according to Feldenkrais, which is very easy and very light and very. I did it with her a few months ago. She's originally Israeli, but she lives in America, and she comes here for a certain period of time. So in the AACI there was a group, and she wants to start another group, so I'm the only one who's registered. So far, no, nothing's happening. No? Can we call it a day?
I think so, yeah. Let's do
Thank
it.
you,